and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. If it matters to you, we've got it covered right here on the show. I'm Sunanda Jayasheelan. Tonight, a very special leader and mentor joining us to talk to our small businesses about the way forward for 2021. I'm in conversation with Ajai Chowdhary. He is the founder of HCL and the former chairman, HCL Infosystems. Mr. Chaudhary, thank you so much for speaking with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow. I want to start by talking about, the overarching theme that we have here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, which is empowering a billion dreams. 2021, do you think that we're going to have a lot more focus, a lot of more optimism really coming back into the ecosystem sitting where we are?
Well, actually, I remember when the Prime Minister launched Startup India, he talked about India having a million problems, but India also having a billion minds. So I think the whole idea about the dreams of billions is important, because how do we get all the billions of the country to actually solve the problems of the country? And I always believe that it's entrepreneurs who go about solving problems of the country. So I think it's a very good idea to have dreams if you want to actually achieve something. And that's really how we created HCL, by dreaming about something.
We're talking about doing business in what has become now the new normal, and if there's something that you would want for entrepreneurs to keep in mind when it comes to doing business in the new normal, what would it be? Would it be a new set of skill sets that they would need to be prepared for, more funding, having more money on the books? What would you want them to know?
Well, actually, I think one of the major changes that are likely to happen now is that we've entered the gig economy. And as we have entered the gig economy, the requirement of the future jobs will be that you will need to have skills that will need to be regularly upgraded. And those kind of skills are important if you want to stay ahead. So, for example, if till yesterday you said that AI was only meant for IT people, that's totally wrong. AI and data science is required for every marketing person. AI and data science is required for every CEO of the company. So fundamentally, you'll need to learn a lot of technology if you actually want to be successful in the future. And as I said, if it's going to be a gig economy, then you may be doing 3 jobs at the same time. So for example, you might start working for some company at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then at 2 o'clock you go to another company and work for them. And then in the evening you might work for a third company. So this whole concept of gig economy is something that you will have to adopt to. And these kind of changes that are likely to happen will need you to be very flexible. You cannot be straight-jacketed the way you were. You're doing one job for many years at the same time. All that is going to be history.
I've been doing quite a bit of research on you, sir, and a lot of leaders, a lot of front runners really quote you as having been their mentor and inspiration. So I want to talk about that. What are 1 or 2 of the qualities that you think are necessary for a leader? And as a mentor, what do you really sort of look forward to in someone that you're mentoring? And what's the role of having a mentor for a young business, for a young entrepreneur? What would you like to tell them?
See, actually, pretty much everybody needs a mentor. And entrepreneurs definitely need mentors, because when they start out on this journey of entrepreneurship, they're fundamentally coming in very young, mainly, not all, but mainly, and also don't have the experience and the connects. So what the mentor really does is to help the entrepreneur look ahead and identify issues that are likely to come in, and therefore prevent problems for the entrepreneur in times ahead. Secondly, let's say you want to take your company global. It would be great if you had mentors in the US and other countries who have knowledge about that market, and they would then be able to advise you what to do right from the beginning. And they also bring in a very important aspect, which is the aspect of connects. So if they know certain people who could be of great value to you in terms of being able to get to a customer or being able to hire the right person, those kind of connects are very valuable from mentors. And mentors also teach you some very key points, which is what is it that will make the organization work. And a lot of times, entrepreneurs are in a hurry to do something. Yes, please do things fast, but try
Okay.
and make it happen in such a way that you do it right the first time. And those kind of inputs are valuable for entrepreneurs.
For entrepreneurs and businesses that have survived the crisis, if you could look at them and say this perhaps is what has helped them, the core, the strength that they had within the company perhaps is what helped them survive the crisis and navigate really, all the changes that we've seen around us, what would that be?
Well, actually, when COVID hit us, the big question everybody had in their minds is how long is this going to last? And I kept telling them that no one really knows. It could be 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. And I told them COVID could come, COVID could go back, and it can keep going up and down. It will be like a W curve. Prepare for that, number one. Number two,
Sure.
prepare to have funds available till end of 2021. Because if you don't have money to last out till end of 2021, you are going to be in trouble. Because cash is going to be the biggest challenge. And sort of I laid
Sure.
out the whole concept of saying cash is king. Therefore, I advised all of them to start looking at their overheads, cut down their rental costs by 50%, reduce their salaries, etc., to last out. Number one. Number two, I also said that in case you find that your business is just not going to happen in the next 6 months, pivot and look at adjacencies to your business or opportunities that are there because of COVID. So, for
Sure.
example, one of the startups that I was working with was in the robotics business, and their business came to an absolute standstill. So I said, if that is the case, why don't we look at a product from medtech area? And they identified a ventilator. I worked with them and a team on creating a ventilator in three months flat. And after that, they were able to start selling ventilators. And today they've sold close to 5-6 crores of ventilators. So, this pivoting is a very important thing that we worked on with some of our startups. And some of the other things that worked for startups is that a lot of them had to move from being physical to being virtual.
Okay.
So, for
Sure.
example, there is this music company, okay, and they were teaching music to children all over the country. It was running with many centers all over the country. And I told them, I said, this is not going to work now because all the centers are not going to operate. They were also operating in schools which are closed, so the business was going to die. So they actually very quickly moved to online teaching of music. It started with 10 lakhs a month, and it went to 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs, 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs. So, they've actually now created a new business model. And this new business model will make them go global. So, the opportunity
Sure.
itself has changed. And they may not even go back to being physical anymore. So, these kind of suggestions were done, and these kind of things were done to make sure that they could actually come out of this problem and see it as an
Okay.
opportunity rather than just a problem.
Mr. Chaudhary, I'll have to take a quick break on that note, but we'll come back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're with us here in Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight I'm in conversation with Ajai Chowdhary. I want to talk about the FICCI for Startups initiative. What can you tell us about that?
Okay, when I took over the FICCI startup committee, and when I sat down with the team, I figured out that there wasn't really anybody in this country who was looking after the interests of startups. If you look at software, there is NASCOM. If you look at
Yeah.
hardware, there is MATE. If you look at general industry, there's FICCI and CII. But who's looking after startups? Except Startup India. Startup India is looking after them, but they can't actually represent startups because they're a government organization. So we decided in FICCI that we will start a new business piece of inside FICCI, which will be called FICCI for Startups. And the first thing that we did was that we launched this with a range of services which we would provide to startups, starting from making sure that if they have certain financial needs, we will take those needs to the government and get some special
Sure.
things done for them. Starting from looking at how to connect them to businesses, how to connect them globally, how to give them mentorship, how to incubate a lot of them. So those kind of things. Then when we looked at, we said we'll provide these range of services and let's get a lot of startups on our membership. And so what we did was that we announced a free membership for 3 months. And
Okay.
as a result, as of this morning, from October to now, we've signed up 10,000 startups who are part of FICCI now. And our whole objective is that we want to provide a lot of services to these startups. So in February, we are launching a new program, which is going to be Startups with Business. And the whole idea would be that every 15 days, there will be a program conducted by FICCI for startups where we will connect them to different sectors in business. So the first one will
Sure.
be healthcare, etc., etc. So that's the way we are looking at it. And we want to make sure we are the first stop for any startup in this country.
If you could look at 2021 and talk sector specific, saying these are the sectors which are going to stand out, what would you want to tell us?
Well, actually, what's really started already is the rural market. So the rural market is far ahead of the urban market already. And therefore, there is a lot of opportunity in the rural market where you can create solutions for the rural market. The next area which is going to be natural is wellness and health. So as a result
Sure.
of the COVID situation, wellness has become top agenda for literally everybody. What is not going to work are things like tourism, etc. Only domestic
Yeah.
tourism is going to happen, and I think domestic tourism will increase. So that could be an opportunity. But global tourism is a very major problem. So I think there are some very interesting areas which will grow, and any business that can go online in a very big way will be very successful. So if you look at
Sure.
telemedicine, you look at edtech, all these areas are going to be huge as we go forward. And you will see great opportunities for startups in these areas.
Your advice for entrepreneurs on how to make money, manage it, invest it right, save it right, what would you want to tell them?
Well, actually, the first advice I give to startups is that have zero ego. Because a
Okay.
lot of technology startups, the founders believe that they are terrific technically, but they should not have an ego, even if they have created the best product in the world. But the best
Okay.
product in the world never sells on its own. You need to have the right go-to marketing strategy. And go to
Sure.
market is the most important piece for every startup. So that's the key advice I give them is that if you don't have great salespeople in your team, in your founding team, get one. And then add salespeople because salespeople are the ones that bring revenues to the company, and that's the only way company can survive. So first thing is the right team. Second thing is getting great salespeople, and the third thing is that be very, very frugal when you start the business. Do not think of
Sure.
spending even if you have the money. Sometimes you get funds from VCs and people start blowing up on market, digital marketing, etc., etc., and they do not actually protect the money that they have. So that's the third thing.
Sure.
The fourth thing is that preserve cash. Make sure that your cash comes in when you need it. So if you have receivables, that's a bad situation. make sure that your
Okay.
receivables are not there for more than 30 days, 60 days. Because you are a startup, you are an SME, you can go to the customer and say, look, I am an SME, I can't afford to give you credit. So you need to make sure
Sure.
that you are very much on top of your cash. And lastly, start thinking about what you're going to do 6 months later, 12 months later, 24 months later, and create your product with different versions in mind. So you may have a version which will work for 6 months, then think of 12, then think of 24, so that you can actually keep growing your business. You can't be static. You have to keep on
Sure.
working on being very aggressive, number one. And if you are not first in the market, maintain that lead. Because if you are first in the market, you'll get the best market share and you'll be able to
Sure.
establish your brand. And sometimes you may even think in terms of creating a monopoly. But sometimes monopolies don't last in a competitive business. So if monopolies don't last in a competitive business, I advise a lot of startups to do what I call temporary monopolies. So think of creating a monopoly for the next 6 months and then make
Sure.
sure that by the time 6 months are over, you are ready with the next monopoly.
I want to talk about the fact that you're always in the news when it comes to giving back and really philanthropy. And philanthropy, even more in the news of late, we've seen comments from the likes of Anazim Premji on philanthropy and CSR for businesses and individuals. Your own philosophy when it comes to philanthropy, what would you want entrepreneurs to know about giving back to society really?
Well, actually, if you look at all modern businesses, their
Hmm.
objective number one is to first make money. But once you make the money, you don't need more money than what is needed. Then you should start to think about giving back. And that
Sure.
is what I believe that entrepreneurs should do. They should give back all the time in whichever way they can. Sometimes they may give back by spending time. Like, for example, I spend time with a couple of NGOs and I give a lot of time to them to actually do things which they have not done before. Secondly, when COVID struck, the Delhi government approached me and said, "Can you help?" Because lots of people were not getting food. So I supplied 80,000 packets of food, and I also supplied PPEs to for medical people to start with. And the same thing happened in Goa when, since I live part of my time in Goa, same thing happened here where the COVID numbers were rising and they didn't have enough machines available in the hospitals to take care of COVID patients. So I gave them 16 high flow oxygen machines and, and a machine to take care of cleaning the N95 masks. So that's
Sure.
something that one does. But I am now constantly looking at other areas. So around my hometown, I've given solar lamps to a lot of villages. Around my college, I have donated an auditorium for them to actually have a beautiful auditorium to be able to have workshops, etc. And now I'm working on a new project which I'm passionately involved with. I've always been passionately involved with the whole idea that electronics is a very important area for the country. And
Sure.
if we don't pay attention, the electronic bill, import bill, will go beyond the oil bill. So I've been very much involved in a lot of government committees to advise the government on creating electronics manufacturing in a big way. But one thing that I've always noticed is that we don't seem to do enough designs in the country. So what I'm now
Sure.
after is I'm working with two associations and we are going to set up a center which will be called a Center for Development of Indian Electronic Products. And we intend to
Okay.
select 5, 6 large volume products which we'll then design and give the designs free to any manufacturer who wants to design to
Okay.
manufacture in the country and make sure that the huge import bill on all these products is reduced to zero.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time here on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Completely out of time in this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details is on your screens as we speak. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.